For instance, a couple of things that came out of our discussion with the community board and those who opposed the project has resulted in us improving the project, actually. We felt that there was a lot of sensitivity around the proximity to Ground Zero, and because of that sensitivity, we've decided to have a memorial within the building for those who passed so their families can come and have a moment in that building to remember those who are no longer with us. So in some ways, our opponents have done us a big favor by allowing us.
Do you think it's really opponents, or do you think it's misguidedness and woundedness that's doing the talking?
I think there are some people that are hurt and have not healed from the wound, and then there are others who just do not understand us, and they're completely ignorant of our faith. This is why we have to be patient with people, because some of the statements that I've heard are coming from a complete place of ignorance that one doesn't even have a response to it. And our job is to now use the center as a place for educating those who don't understand us.
I think it would be great to bring everybody on video conferencing, a lot of the people that are involved, and to do some type of video conferences weekly where your center and your body of work is introduced. I mean, I know that there are all of these media outlets that are covering their translation of what you're doing, and some of it is good and some of it is bad. But I think that in general, mainstream distrust of anything related to the subject of Islam, and therefore the first layer of listening to it is a rejection of it, a reaction to it, a reflex away from it. And the first thing is to get people comfortable with what is it, and for people to know that Islam is not necessarily what the media is showing us that it is, meaning it's not what the films are about. There are aspects of Islam that are true, and there are aspects that are distorted. But I guess there's no one translation of what Islam is, and its unique cultural contributions, religious and scriptural contributions. But a lot of it lives in the distortion of the mass public, which is what you're dealing with.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If you literally could dream and instantly manifest whatever you want, literally somehow you were tapped on the shoulder, your 100 million was in, all the instruments were there, but let's say money is no object. What would you desire to have done? If money is no object, everything is available to you. You have the ultimate divine ability to impact anything and everything related to Islam and what your deeper desire is with this. What would you have done?
We have gone from being a Christian nation to introducing the Judeo-Christian ethic. And I believe a center like this will become a center which will celebrate the Abrahamic ethic, which is children of Abraham coming together, but really children of Adam coming together, all of humanity coming together. And it is my wish that the center will create a new vision for how we coexist as not only human beings, but as a fellow co-religionists. And we set an example for others, not only in the rest of the country, but for others around the globe, of how when people are well-intentioned and when they all worship the same God, how they can come together to create a beautiful city on the hill.
Beautiful. What do you see as your biggest obstacle right now to that happening?
A lot of hurt feelings, people who do not understand us, and just sheer ignorance. And ignorance is the greatest threat to all of us right now, especially in a globalized world, in the multi-religious and the multicultural world that we live in. We can no longer afford to remain ignorant about one another.
And lastly, have you ever been concerned for your personal well-being or the personal well-being of your family?
I personally do not focus on anything negative. There have been moments when we have received some very harsh voicemails and some very nasty letters, but we know that we have a job to do. We know we have a mandate. And if I thought about all the things that could potentially harm me, I might get paralyzed, so I don't even let that thought enter my head.
Do you think that the center, it would be wise to have security there?
Of Cordoba House will have all the necessary security measures because I fundamentally believe what our Prophet said. He said, put your trust in God, but always tie your camel.
One of my companies is called Tie Your Camel. It's an esoteric escrow company that handles transactions that are beyond real estate. Most escrow companies are usually just real estate companies, but there needs to be provisioned a whole other array of transactions for purchases of products, services, businesses that are transaction-based that are not provisioned for in traditional real estate escrows. That's really interesting. Mm-hmm. I noticed that you've worked with or had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Shirin Ebadi.
Yes, yes.
Sounds like you've been influenced by her, too.
Yeah, she is a fireball, but a very inspiring fireball. I was on the same panel with her in Naropa, and she was the keynote speaker. And this is what gives me strength because I'm sitting here in America, one of the freest nations in the world, and here I am trying to do something that is, yes, we have difficult people who are coming at us, but think of the difficulty that she's going through. Here she is, a woman who is just simply trying to bring back the basic human rights in her own country. And, her life is under threat. She's been almost exiled. And it's much more difficult when you're being rejected by your very own people.
Huge. The challenges she goes through. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I read a lot about what she goes through. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's humbling. It's humbling to us, but it's also then we take measure of how many more people are in worse situations than us. So our difficulties get put into the right context.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking to, learning from, and listening to Daisy Khan, the Executive Director of the American Society for Muslim Advancement. I really want to thank you for being with us. I hope that you will come back. I'm excited about what you're doing. I have great respect and regard for the courage it takes to do that, particularly at Ground Zero, to place a worship and community center there in times of great distortion and confusion and turbulence in the world. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you very much, Kim. It's been a real pleasure.
For me too.